everybody. Welcome to What Drives Us, episode 346 for December 18th, 2019. Yes, dear friends, this is the last show we're going to do this year. The last show we're going to do this decade, depending on how you chop that up, and we can have that pedantic conversation another time. Suffice to say, we've got a week's full of news and a brilliant panel here. So let's do the intros and get this show on the road. My co-host, wingman, what else do I call him? The guy who's put up with my crap longer than anybody else on your screen, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
Hey, everybody, and it is a lot of crap. I've gotten really good at shoveling. So here I am. I'm
shovel.
I'm sitting here. I'm up against the wall. What you can't see is I'm literally sitting on the floor. I've recently relocated. I don't have any furniture in my room yet. So I don't know. I have no idea how. Okay. I was going to skip this, but the absolutely short version is we got the second floor recarpeted because it was originally really crappy. So everything's on the first floor. We've been sleeping on the first floor for the last week and a half. As I see everyone else's backgrounds, I don't have a bunch of Aero wheels. I don't have an IKEA bookcase. I don't have solar panels, and I don't work in a really awesome shop, and I don't have a massive telescope. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this space, but I've got some stiff competition. I know that. So
you could tack your shirt to the wall, the jersey.
Oh yeah,
I know. Well, don't worry, there will be a Blackhawks jersey, hanging up somewhere. So yeah.
We'll have a telethon for Tony later, where you can donate to get him furniture and office accoutrements to make his show experience more visually entertaining for all of you.
It'll just be a poster, a really big poster. It'll look like New York.
Right.
I like that.
I could just mural the whole wall.
Just
right
do a mural. I love
just
that.
hang up a big green sheet and then put in whatever you want every week.
Our viewers can put in whatever they want.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
True.
Make your own What Drives Us. Well, the man with maybe one of the more interesting backgrounds, and I was commenting on it just moments ago, our friend in the Pacific Northwest, Mr. Patrick Connor.
Hello from Oregon. Buckle up. It's going to be a fun show.
Yay! I like that. My friend in Canada, he hasn't added any Aero wheel covers yet, but I know he will be soon because someone's going to mistakenly park in front of his house and he's going to go out there with a screwdriver. Mr. Marcotte.
You know someone's going to let their guard down at some point. I'm just waiting for that opportunity. Yes, indeed.
It's all it takes is one shot.
Just one. Russell and I were scoping out a few of them in North San Diego County, but they didn't happen. So
those country mode cameras are going to catch you.
Gotta wear a mask.
That's right.
Gotta wear a mask or something now.
Exactly. Yeah. I actually saw a Model 3 with Aero wheel covers, and for a second in my brain, I went, Mark would really like those. Am I insane? And the answer to that question is yes, I'm insane. But a person who's very sane, our friend in the Mid-Atlantic region, he's taken down his Tesla art, but nonetheless, he still has maybe the second or third most interesting place to do the show from, Mr. Casey Green.
Yeah, I got to get them framed now that they're flat. They were going to curl the other way if I left them up too long.
You look like a pro YouTuber with that background there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's got the lights and he's got the big mic and the Epiphone. It's all going on. Yeah. Well, speaking of a man who may not have all that stuff, but definitely has it going on in his shop, he is the owner and founder of Boulder Hybrids in Boulder, Colorado, your source for EV and hybrid repairs and sales on the Front Range, Mr. Paul Guzik.
Geez, what am I going to say now? Well, I just said I'm going to drink my Fat Tire beer. So
there you go.
Right.
Cheers. And let's get this out of the way at the beginning of the show. So, as I said, welcome to the last show of 2019. We will not be doing a show next week on Christmas Day. And we're kind of iffy, maybe January 1st. We'll see what happens. But it may be as long as January 8th. Now, what are you guys going to do for the next 2 weeks? You're going to find some productive use for your time. You'll take a nap. You'll have a soda. You'll go out for a walk.
So Russell, are you saying the next show will have a lot more clarity?
2020 vision.
Anything I say
I'll
here is
stick
going to get
fixing cars.
Thank you, Paul.
We'll prescribe something for that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Prescription lenses.
I need to take more of it, whatever it is.
So next week is the 25th of December, which of course is Christmas. Mark, are you going to be available? When is Canadian Christmas? Is it like in October or something?
Yeah, we have it in July, so
Okay, great.
Out of the way in the good weather, and then we don't have to worry about the weather on the 25th.
Oh,
yeah.
God, see, you guys are so smart. Yeah.
I think that's called metric Christmas, Tony. We did that joke on a
Metric.
Yeah.
metric
Got
Christmas.
Yes, indeed.
Or it's something in French that I don't know. So
I'll be available at the first if we do anything.
okay.
I might be sober and awake. We'll see.
Being sober has never been a requirement for this show.
It's true.
Cheers. And cheers to all of you out there during this holiday season, please. Our first part is something that Patrick Connor once referred to as Russell's Rant, somewhat melodramatically. It started with, an idea that's been percolating in my head for a month now. And then I saw this article in the Wall Street Journal, which I was allowed to read the first couple paragraphs of, but not the entire thing. And that sort of sealed the deal. And that is this. My thesis is as follows. Our delivery culture is not sustainable. It is not good for us in any way. Our instant gratification car share culture could be good, but the way we've implemented it is very, very bad. We have a lot of things right now clogging up our system, wasting fuel, polluting our atmosphere, and costing someone money. Now, maybe it's not costing you money. Maybe it's the venture capitalist funding the rideshare company. Maybe it's deep pockets. It's some huge online retailer that can afford to send 3 delivery drivers a day to your house to deliver an envelope of probiotic pills or something. I don't know. I'm not criticizing
in a box that's this big.
In a box that's that big. I'm not criticizing anyone for taking advantage of convenience. We all do it. That's maybe one of the most reasonable human things is to say, wow, this is easy. I'd like to try that.
I'm part of the problem. This morning we ran out of breakfast. I ordered more. It was there this afternoon from Amazon.
Yeah.
Same day delivery.
Yeah.
And I can't. So on one hand, I get it. I totally get it. You're a busy person. You work a job. You've got enough on your plate. The last thing most Americans need is more stuff to manage, whether it's your health care or your finances or your business or whatever it is. You've got a lot on your plate. Most of us do.
Mm-hmm.
So these time-saving things are great, but I mean, this stuff is insane. It's just absolutely insane. So now the smarter people on the panel are going to tell me why I'm totally wrong.
Well, with the ability for them to plan the routes and use ecological delivery vehicles, which they're mostly not doing.
No one does.
Not
you just
nobody.
invalidated wherever you were going with that.
No, I mean, because some of them do. Like UPS has got several electric and plug-in and natural gas trucks.
They have several. CNG.
A lot more of the other ones, and then was it UPS and FedEx both have drone deliveries? You can power those from the sun, and that's also right here in Virginia. So except for the noise pollution. But if they use the airplane drones, they're not as loud.
Yeah, so
we can handle the fall.
talked about this last time. If the thing that's going to drive people using renewable energy and electric vehicles is when the economics make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So the delivery vehicles put in a lot of miles. So they're going to be one of the first to transition when we have technology that meets their needs. And that's going to be a great day. In fact, we have a story coming up later about some vehicles that are moving to better fuel economy systems.
Yeah, we were having a discussion at work the other day about the recycling, how much of it ends up in the landfill because it's not ecological or economical to actually process it.
Right, since the green sword came down in China, that
Exactly.
has really killed plastic recycling in the U.S. and many other parts of the world.
Exactly, but if it was cost effective, people would do it. Or like in New York, where there's a deposit and you want your quarter back. You got a nickel usually, but you got to recycle it if you want it back.
Okay, I think we're varying here because Russell's point was instant gratification and delivery and that kind of stuff. And no, I kind of agree with Russell on this. If I have the ability to go and get online and order one bottle of dishwashing detergent because I ran out, and it has to get picked, packed, shipped, driven, and dropped off for one little thing, just because I think it's convenient for me to order one little bottle, and then the next day I order another bottle of, of whatever, hair shampoo or a box of cereal or something. That is 100 times less effective or less efficient than me getting up off my ass and driving myself to Target and buying 24 products at a go and then driving home.
Right, but if you bought those same 24 products and had them delivered, what's the difference between you driving to the store and back and that delivery person driving and maybe dropping off dozens of other things, especially if they were going to your neighbor's house with a delivery anyway?
Yep. And in your case, you've got an ecological vehicle, but your neighbor drives a freaking old Hummer that they can't get rid of.
Okay, so we've just added some parameters.
But if the delivery truck hits 30 homes on one trip,
yes,
that's more efficient than 30
especially
people
if it's a green one. Yeah.
Okay, so there's the parameter, right? So we do reach a tipping point where it does become more efficient and, and spewing less greenhouse gases and emissions and whatever, but only if people agree to purchase multiple items at the same time.
Right.
But how many times have we just ordered, like I needed a jack that converts a 3.5-inch audio plug into an RGB or whatever. I don't know, I'm making this up. And I just need this one thing. And it travels all the way from China because I need this one thing. And it was just convenient for me to go online and order it.
Right, but it's not like that thing came on a boat from China by itself.
Right.
It came with a lot of other stuff that was coming.
No, they sent it by air freight.
Yes, sometimes. But like in my case, like in my apartment, we actually have one of the Amazon lockers, and UPS, FedEx, and Amazon are there at least 10 minutes every day, filling them up with stuff that all the neighbors have ordered, and then the mailman is doing the mailman stuff, the regular mail, and then I think he even does the parcels into the freaking locker, and that's what 4 or 5 trips that 100 of us would have taken on our own. So I mean, if it's done right. I mean, even though I drive a Tesla, it's just one, and they all drive FSPs, every last one of them, except for the other Tesla drivers and the guy with the plug-in Volkswagen. But that's FSP? 5 of us out of 100. Fuel-sucking pigs.
Oh, see, you got the TLAs are causing great confusion.
I think Casey makes a good point in that there are some efficiencies here that we can capitalize on. Lockers are a great example of that.
Yeah.
Rather than 30 people in his apartment complex going out to the store and driving home, they did their thing on the keyboard and boom, it shows up at the locker.
Yeah.
So hopefully nobody but the delivery drivers driving anything. And this is arguably, again, stuff that, as Patrick pointed out, none of it comes over on a boat by itself. There's one 3.5 millimeter audio converter. It comes over in container loads, but then it gets spread out via diesel trucks all over the U.S. to different sort centers, to different repack centers, to different distribution centers. And then it goes on delivery trucks.
Yeah, so there's a good point. Buy local, eat local, whenever you can. That's a great point.
There's
right, and we're looking at only the emissions of the vehicles itself. Like I had said when Russell introduced it, you get one little vial of medication and it comes in a box, and that box has padding and this and this and this. And we're packaging the packages.
Yeah, it might not even be recyclable foam. It might be that plastic that can't be recycled.
Right.
Might be virgin cardboard.
I cut you off, Russell. What were you going to say?
No, I think I said what I wanted to say. I have this feeling that this is a horrible thing, and that at some point 30 years or 40 years from now, people are going to look back and go, what the fuck were they thinking? They're insane. They were just killing themselves and they didn't realize it because it was so convenient.
Yeah.
It's like everybody having their own gasoline powered personal vehicle to do whatever they want with their freedom machine. It's just wonderful and it's great. But is there any question that gasoline powered freedom machines are a big, huge cause of problems on this planet?
Yeah, another thing that the article points out is the traffic disruption. So in our area, yeah, there's a nice pull off for them to deal with it, but as it's going down Main Street or going down your neighborhood, it might not be set up for deliveries, and so now you've got all these people in the gas cars. You got a traffic jam.
Right, and then makes everybody idle more. It's horrible. Yeah,
exactly. And like Tony said, if you can buy local, and like Russell always says, if there are just less cars and you can walk to the local farmers market, none of that would be an issue.
In a perfect world, and I understand that everybody can't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there are some people that have a hard time driving to the grocery store because it's 5 or 6 miles away or maybe more.
Yeah, worse if you're in a food desert. I mean, you could go like 30, 40 minutes at highway speeds before you reach the grocery store.
Yeah.
I mean,
and at work, I lead and I work on the green initiatives and sustainability projects and stuff. And I feel that we are right here having the same conversation I have at work. When I have meetings for sustainability efforts, I have the same people over and over again. And we're pushing higher. And I think things is, all try to weigh the efficiencies and, and the effectiveness of doing things a certain ways. And I think people, our viewers watch our show because they're like-minded and, they're doing the exact same thing. The problem that we have is we are not the people who need to be addressing our, how our conveniences are affecting the, the consumption of fuel and, like you said, the virgin cardboard and the non-recyclable packaging. And that's one of the biggest issues that I see. I mean, when I'm trying to convince my fellow employees to stop using single-use paper coffee cups, the problem is the people who are listening to me are the people who are already carrying around their own reusable mugs, their own ceramic mugs. They're not the people that I need to get the message out to.
Well, if you're at work, you just get them to put out reusable mugs and not disposable anything. And then
that's such a great idea, and it's so easy to implement. Jeez.
I did.
but if you make it affordable, like where doing the right thing is the thing that's also best for your wallet, I mean that alone spurs people to do the right thing time and time again.
Right. People are just going to default to what's convenient, Tony. And if the grab-and-go cup is what's there, that's what they're going to use. And instead, if you have reusable cups, and you're at work, it's not like you're grabbing this because you're going to go hop in your car and drive somewhere. You're at work. This is your coffee at work. They should only have reusable cups at work and have a washing
coffee machine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's little things you can do, like City of Boulder, along with plenty of other cities, I'm sure. Portland's probably they have a 10-cent fee on plastic grocery bags. Mm-hmm. So almost everybody that goes to the grocery store has these, cloth, canvas, recyclable grocery bags now because they don't want to pay the 10 cents. So
Charleston just banned plastic bags. You can't have a plastic bag as a retailer in Charleston anymore.
Yeah.
South Carolina.
Yep, we have straw bans and ban the bag in a lot of regions around here. Yep.
Yeah. And little things like that can get rid of a lot of landfill.
Yeah, I've preached. It's Russell started this whole thing with convenience. I've preached many, many times, and I think Casey had mentioned the economy, and Patrick had mentioned, when the financial teeter-totter is hit and it swings the other way. I've preached to many of my coworkers, and so many times, I think maybe even said on this show, the problem is that our assured destruction is based on the convenience and the financial benefit of killing ourselves.
And staring us in the face. I mean, literally, we've got, what they say, 2 to 8 years at the most to correct this. It's for people like me who are actually going to have to live through it. It's pretty scary. I mean, But I mean, some of the folks that I interact with
unlike
on a daily
the
basis
rest
don't
of us
care.
old guys.
No, I'm talking much older. Some.
Hey, I'm going to be dead soon anyway, so who gives a shit? Okay, you guys can choke to death on your own.
Like, you always tell me about your children. What, you don't care about them? Apparently not.
I do want to put one thing in here, and I'm going to blame it on Patrick, although he may not have been the only one.
I'll take the blame.
Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate that. Patrick said something about, this would balance better when the cost is more favorable to being greener. And you know what? As somebody who's spent the last decade and a half arguing that, if the hybrid costs more, you do it because it's the right thing, asshole. You don't do it because you're going to make $1. You don't make $1 on an F-250 turbo diesel. You do it because it's the right thing to do. And so I don't think Patrick's wrong. I think Patrick's absolutely right. When things are cheaper, people will naturally gravitate towards that. But we also need to add in the moral side of this, that you've sacrificed something for your convenience. That's all.
We only get about 2% of people that will ever wake up to that fact. I mean, how many people work for Habitat for Humanity or donate blood or whatever the noble cause is? It's never the majority of people. It's the enlightened few. But
part of it is because as a society, we don't encourage that. We do a little bit, you feel guilty, you need to donate to Jerry's kids, or you got to do something. But on a daily basis, we don't encourage people to make good, long-term, sustainable decisions. We encourage them to buy the cheap T-shirt at Walmart because it's $1 cheaper than the other place used to be.
And then the other place goes out of business, and then Walmart switches to something else, even worse than what they were doing before.
Yeah, and you can't blame people for that. If you have to buy stuff to get through life, and a lot of people don't make very much money, and so they're going to do what's cheap so they can afford to get something nice for their kids or pay their electricity bill or whatever it is that they need. So, I don't want to blame anybody for that.
No, that's why. Except for the people who spend $2.50 a day on a Starbucks coffee in a paper cup. Those people can afford to buy a thermos. So buy a freaking thermos.
Put the logo on it.
Get your coffee Starbucks and wash it out.
Yeah. There you go. If you're looking for Christmas present ideas for Tony, get him a reusable mug.
I need more thermoses.
Send Tony your thermos
people around you that you can regift to that apparently need them.
See, I will be the Bart Coughlin of thermos emporiums. Yes.
That's going to be the background in your home studio. Thermoses sent in by what drives us.
Big shelf. Yeah.
That'll be awesome.
Company called Reuse It. Damn it!
All these coffee mugs, you better keep them washed. Is all I gotta say. Okay.
Right there.
I have to ask forgiveness from Patrick and Tony here. I don't remember who was supposed to intro this. Tony. Okay, thank you, Patrick. Tony has our next story.
Yeah. So, goddamn U.S. government politicians. I hate them all. I swear to God. So.
Thank you, Tony. That was great. Perfect.
Thank you. That's our show. So every single year, the U.S. politicians, the Congress and Senate have to sit down and they have to come up with a budget. And if they don't come up with a budget, then one side threatens a government shutdown and the other side threatens a government shutdown. They play chicken to see who wins and whether or not the government will actually keep moving and whether what the employees will actually get paid this month. So here we are once again, December. It's the end of the year. The negotiating comes up. What's going to get cut? What's going to get saved? Well, it turns out things that get saved, corporate payouts. Something like 47 of the Forbes 500, the biggest companies, never paid any income taxes. So they get to operate without any taxes whatsoever. Well, in order to make up for that, some things have to get cut. Well, what did they cut? What did they drop? It turns out that some people wanted to extend the incentives for buying electric vehicles. Nope. Sorry, Amazon doesn't want to pay taxes. We're going to let them get away with that. Sorry, the credits are gone. And what does that do? That punishes companies like Tesla and GM who have already exceeded 200,000 vehicles. So now their cars, their electric vehicles are going to become more expensive because the consumers have to pay the full price instead of the incentivized price. Now, if you want to still take advantage, you're going to look at Nissan, who's next in line to reach 200,000. I think they're at, about 150,000 now or something. And then Ford is currently at about 115,000. So maybe you can get something from Ford. Mercedes-Benz has only sold 20,000. So if you got a bunch of money, you can buy a Mercedes. But what they wanted to do, they wanted to increase the threshold from 200,000 to 600,000 because, hey, we got a good thing going, right? People are buying EVs. People are taking advantage of the tax credits. Let's keep this steamroller going. And it turns out they said no. And specifically, and I'm just going to leave it right here into my political rant, the White House specifically stepped in and squashed any ideas of extending the EV tax incentives. Now, their argument was that EVs are only purchased by rich people and the middle class is being punished because their taxes are paying for rich people to buy electric vehicles. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
now,
the way the tax credit works is it is a no carryover, no refund tax credit, which means it can only reduce the amount of taxes that you pay. So it's not like it's coming out of some general fund to cut you a check. You're just reducing the amount that you pay. And if you didn't owe whatever the amount is, $7,500 in taxes, then instead of paying the $5,000, let's say you owed, then you don't owe any, but you don't get back the extra $2,500 above and beyond. So there's no way that it's taking money out of the government to pay you that extra amount.
And the sad part is, you know that, and we know that, but the average person who reads something that says the middle class is being punished because rich folks are being compensated for buying expensive cars, they just believe that because that's all they hear.
Yeah. All they see is the 7,500 reported over and over, and think it's just an automatic credit for 7,500, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
And they could also cap it. They could say if you buy an EV that costs more than X, it's not eligible. So the rich people can still buy the rich cars.
Right. Or they could even cap it based on income level, have it phase out with just like over whatever 150,000 the Roth IRA starts phasing out. They could put it on some similar scale.
If the White House wanted to do really cool stuff, they could say if the car is made in America, it's eligible. If it's an import, it's not.
Because, right, if you want to encourage American jobs. That's a great idea.
That would encourage American companies to build EVs in America. And, someone in the White House is talking about jobs in America, so that's one way to do it.
Yeah, those are all great ideas compared to cutting it. It's
right.
ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, they did actually extend tax credits for EV chargers. Well, because you get 30% up to $1,000 off of your charger. 2 to 3 wheel electric vehicles, you still can get a credit for that, and hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, whatever. So they did extend.
I'm getting that new
that.
Mirai.
Yes, I know you are.
Yeah, so I want to point out that if you're driving a gas car, you are being subsidized.
Yes.
Every gallon of gas, if you want to know what it really costs, you should look at all the pollution that's made when it's refined, all the wars that our military goes through guarding the Straits of Hormuz so that it's not the tankers aren't attacked, the political ramifications of us being involved in the Middle East so we can extract there, the health impacts of the emissions. So all of that, and depending on which form you're looking at, the life of a gas car is subsidized over $12,000. So we're actually saving the government money when people buy an EV instead of a gas car. And the externalities that we all have to pay in health costs and shortened life and kids with asthma and emergency room visits. So it's so short-sighted to do this.
Well, not to mention all the federal money,
to the
big oil.
Yeah, I was going to say, the direct incentives straight into the oil companies to begin with.
Right. The oil companies are some of the most profitable companies in the world, and yet they're also one of the most highly subsidized, which makes no sense. Subsidies for a nascent fledgling industry make sense. But once they're established, they should stop getting government money, period.
Right.
See the Defense Department.
Right.
Yeah.
See Amazon.com.
Mm-hmm. So they did also extend incentives to biodiesel, which, if you read between the lines, woo. So you want to get into corn subsidies. I know far too much about corn subsidies and the history of corn subsidies. And, especially with the trade wars that we now have, that, some countries have absolutely stopped importing some of our corn. So, hey, we got to do something with it. Let's turn it into biofuel. So that's actually a handout to the farms, not family farms, because most of the farms in the United States these days are corporate farms that are presenting themselves as small farms. And they also extended to what coal plants owned by Native American tribes.
How many of those are there?
It's plural, so I'm guessing 2. Yeah. So as you can see, I'm a little bit miffed by this. There's not much coming out of this that really appeases me in any way. I really think that the alleged progressive Democratic Party could have tried to stand their ground a little harder, but they chose not to, and they just said, "Okay, whatever." And so I honestly think we're missing out on a lot of opportunities to grow our electric vehicle and green technologies markets.
A lot of it ties back into what we were just talking about. I mean, we are incentivizing bad behavior.
Right. Mm-hmm. So this is where the states need to step up. And if the federal government isn't going to do it, then the states need to. And this is one thing. So I've talked about this. I'm getting Tesla batteries, and for our house, and the federal incentive is dropping over the next few years. So for next year, it's going from 30% this year to I think 26% next year. And I was like, oh, I missed 4%. But my state is starting an incentive next year that more than makes up for that 4%. So by doing it next year, I'm actually saving more. And that's the state right there stepping up and filling this gap that the feds have left. And Oregon has an EV incentive now, so that, and it doesn't have a cap, and that's paid for by a small tax on every vehicle sold. It's 0.5%, and that all goes into a fund that funds electric vehicle incentives. So which is funny because even when you buy an EV, you still have to pay it because it just said all cars pay it. But then if you're going to get an EV, you get that back and then some.
Yep. And South Carolina was like their total between federal and state came to like 55% back of your entire solar system. So not even just the panels. Like if you had a battery or if you had a more efficient water heater, anything that was installed at the time of the panels by the same contractor counted.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm waiting for Paul to speak up on how Colorado is just handing out solar panels and batteries.
They're still giving out $5,000 on any car that plugs in the wall. So
nice.
I bought another plug-in car this year because of that. $5,000.
Yeah. Add that to the 7,500 while it still lasts for some brands.
Illinois canceled their program last year.
and then raise the DMV fees if your car plugs in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I can't laugh too much, but Ontario did the same thing. Government change and EV programs are turfed out. Done.
Yeah.
And they're doing it as like an ideological thing when like literally, oh, screw you with your clean air. Who wants to breathe that? And yet we've got like a bunch of places in South Asia have had record air quality this year, and not in a good way. Like they've had literally you couldn't go outside because the air was tangible. You could touch it, see it, feel it.
It's like 1972 in Los Angeles.
Worse, the worst ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's one of my new favorite phrases right there. The air was tangible.
Yep.
You
Think
cut
Los
it with a
Angeles,
knife.
1972.
Yeah.
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 That's all I got, man.
That's all you got. I was just going to say, thank you, Tony. Let's go to something a little more bucolic, a little more relaxing. Let's go to Mark for our next story.
I've got a story about camping.
Yay.
What could be wrong with
Camping?
camping,
What,
Mark?
what could
Camping?
possibly upset someone about camping? Really?
Nothing.
Something I'd rather do
unless you
in
call it
December than go camping.
Right. So there's there is a new company in Australia that's offering a ecological camper that is set up to have a 14.3 kilowatt battery in it, and of course a 5,000 watt inverter, which will keep everything from the induction stove, refrigerator, hot water, air conditioning, all running at the same time if you wish. So you can have a real comfortable camping trip no matter what the weather. And this unit also gives you the ability to recharge with a full bank of solar panels on the roof. So it's got the whole package. Plus it even gives you, since it's got the onboard battery, if the sun is not shining enough, you could plug into the electrical grid and charge up that battery for use at a later time. And if that's not even enough, the trailer has regenerative braking. So
awesome.
If you're driving
That's
along,
brilliant.
you could turn the regen on and it will charge up the battery as well.
While you're towing it.
Right. Now
it
there's
charges
no free lunch here. If you're towing and you're using the regen, that means you're using more energy to actually drive the vehicle and camper together. So there's no free lunch, but if you're
coming down the mountain pass, it's
that would be a free lunch. Yes, that's a free snack, Paul. Just a free snack.
So you had to pay to get up the
Pass in
mountain, but
Colorado
coming down is
for
free.
quite a while.
Exactly. So
Is this the same one where it does the assist of the tow vehicle with the battery, or is that a different manufacturer?
that's something different.
Didn't
Yeah.
say that. Yeah.
Okay.
So this vehicle comes with 3 different sizes, and then what's nice is that it's the fairly large size. Of course, gives you the
Nice.
full complement of a queen bed and a kitchen section, a bathroom section, storage galore, and just so you're aware, the price of this unit starts at about $75,000 US. So it is an expensive camper, but if you do
But it
camping
comes with
a
a
lot,
red carpet and velvet robe.
Yeah.
If you buy the display model.
yeah, exactly.
Are they going to make a
If you-
cyber version?
And it comes with a bouncer to keep out the riffraff.
Right.
But what's impressive is these different abilities to you start putting a battery on board these things, and you become more independent for where you are or how you're using it, and you've got these different options for charging, which is fantastic.
Especially with solar, because you could be out in the boonies off the grid and live comfortably.
Boondocking,
Exactly.
if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting new concept, and I'm sure more manufacturers will get involved with this type of thing. As we see batteries drop in price, all this stuff becomes more available, not just for power walls or electric vehicles, but in other use cases such as camping. So that's kind of a new thing, but I imagine we'll see more of it in the future with other manufacturers.
Yeah, I mean, my little pop-up camper has a 12-volt battery and a Coleman solar panel, and it runs the lights, and it does have a 120-volt outlet. You can charge your phone or something, but obviously not all the energy that this offers.
It's not going to keep your fridge full of cold beer.
Right. Yeah. The fridge works if you can plug into external power, or it can actually run off of the propane tank, which is weird.
Sure. The propane fridge. Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this thing is a little house. I mean, it's you know, it's like those tiny houses, you know, whatever that show is.
For $80,000, it should be.
Right. Well,
I mean, arguably $80,000 is not cheap.
Oh,
no,
right,
it's not.
right.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
But you know, a trailer of this size is not cheap regularly, anyways.
Sure. Yes,
but
absolutely.
you know, this is
RVs are
step
stupid
up.
money.
Yeah.
Stupid money because most of them are so poorly built they fall apart in 5 years.
Oh.
It seems like what I've heard from owners.
Expensive to manufacture and
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if I decided that I was just going to tour the United States and you know whatever, then this would be awesome.
In 5 years, I'm retiring, getting one of these, and hitting the road.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, Mark, so much for that. See, that was a happy little story about electrified camping. Yay.
Yeah.
Well, Patrick has another happy story.
I do. Yeah. So Trimet is our local public transportation. They have light rail. They have a downtown trolley system and buses throughout the whole area. And the light rail stuff is great. It's electric, but the buses not so much. So whenever an electric bus announcement was made from whoever, Proterion or BYD or whatever, I was constantly sending these to their social media feeds, and they are finally listening. Yeah, and they actually have a couple electric buses now. And they put one of them in a route right by my house, and I'm sure it's just because I was annoying them.
It was
so
on
much.
purpose.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Make sure he sees this every day.
Yeah.
and you better be using that
at least
bus
half
or they're
their
going
buses
to
are
rub it in your face.
You could just see the manager going, "Where are we going to put this bus? I know exactly where we're
I
going to
know.
put it."
Exactly.
STFU,
Right past that
Patrick.
asshole's house.
Yeah, squeaky wheels get the oil, man. So Trimet has just come out with their vision of what they're going to do going forward. So we're taking action today to reduce our emissions, and they've got a list. So they're going to use 100% wind power for Max. That's their light rail system, and the light rail has been expanding, and they're adding it, going to more areas. So that's really cool. When I was a kid, it was just on the east side. And now it's on the west side, and it goes up to the airport and a lot of other places. So that's cool. So that's going to be 100% wind powered. The buses are going to be moving to renewable diesel. I thought that was an odd term. I don't know the. Hey, Tony, you're a corn expert. Can you tell me the difference between biodiesel and renewable diesel?
Yeah, it turns out renewable diesel, what I could find was there's a company in Finland, Neste, Nest, whether it's Nest or Nesty or, you know, it's Finnish, but they do have a vegetable oil refining process. And so chemically, it uses direct catalytic hydrogenation of plant oils and triglycerides and corresponding alkanes and propane to create what they consider to be a renewable diesel that has essentially the same chemical base as petrol diesel, but because it's extracted from plants, it's considered renewable.
Well, cool. Yeah, they're using 5% biodiesel today, and then starting April 1st of next year, it's going to be 100% renewable diesel. But the more important part of that is that they also said that they're going to have 100% zero-emission bus fleet by 2040. Now, obviously, I'd like that to be a lot sooner, but now it's part of their plan. It's on their roadmap. They're going to be moving in that direction. And buses have a long lifespan, so it makes sense that if you want to be 100% by 2040, you've got to start like every bus out, whenever it needs to be replaced, you're going to be replacing it with an electric bus and probably putting it near my house.
Yes. And, you know, I totally agree with you there. I mean, we always want it to be sooner, but I mean, even if they had started 10 years ago, we would have said, I wish it was sooner.
Exactly.
So,
so the best time to start is right now, always.
Yeah.
And Patrick, in Portland, they have bike racks on the buses too, right? So
they do.
If you're half a mile from the bus route, you ride your bike, put your bike on the bus, go downtown, and then ride another few blocks at the other end, right? So that's totally green end to end.
Yeah, there's bike racks on the front, and even there's bike hangers in the Max light rail system. So you can take your bike on the light rail and hang it up on a hook there, and then grab it and ride off when you're done. And there's a lot of park and rides too. So there's a park and ride that's probably 1.5 miles from my house. So whenever I'm going downtown, I don't want to drive in downtown traffic or pay for downtown parking. So I'll take my Tesla to the park and ride, park there, parking's free, and pay my $250 to hop on. And the cool thing about they have you just pay with your phone. It supports all the tap and pay systems, and an all-day ticket's $5, but you just tap your phone and it gives you a $250 ticket. And if you tap it again, instead of just getting another short-term ticket, you get an all-day ticket for the second one. So they make it pretty convenient.
That's cool.
Yeah. And speaking of paying for it, the next thing on their list is they're supporting free fares for youth riders, which is really cool. I took the bus a lot when I was a kid, and it was 50 cents, and that's that made it easy for you could go somewhere and back for $1. And now with if you're under 17, it's going to be free.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think this is great. And the way they phrase it is great because what they're saying is we want kids to grow up using mass transportation. We want them, by making it free, it just becomes ubiquitous.
Yes. And
the kids can play with their phones the whole time.
Right.
Well, okay, there is that.
Yeah, because they don't have time to do that now, right?
Well, they don't if they're riding their bike or driving.
Really? Yeah. Have you seen guys with their phone in their face when they're riding their bike? I've seen it.
It's scary.
Yeah, almost so worse Portland famously has had mayors that take the bus to work, and one of the things about it here is that I think in a lot of cities, public transportation doesn't get very well funded because that's just seen as something for the poor or whatever. And here in Portland, it's not. It's part of how everybody gets around, and so it's important to all of us. So we make sure it gets funded, and this is a great example of that.
It's two-pronged. They do the always for the poor, and then it brings crime. Both of those have been proven false. So
yeah, but what about the 16-year-old children of millionaires? They're going to ride the bus for free now, and they're ripping us off.
Right.
What about that?
So what?
Yeah.
Right.
What about that argument? No,
right. There should be means testing. For
I know you're not making that. Yeah. There will be people who will bring it up, though.
There's strong arguments. For instance, a lot of the money that New York is spending arresting and prosecuting fare jumpers are that the subway should just be free. Like the money they're spending on law enforcement, all this, it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't. But it's not about how can we most efficiently and sustainably move our populations around.
Can't Kansas City or St. Louis just made all their buses free for everybody?
And Atlanta keeps voting down their metro.
Mm-hmm. And in my previous job before I started with my current employer, I spent a lot of time in Utah, and one of the things I learned was that mass transportation, the buses were free. So there were times that I would not get a rental car, and I would just take the bus. It was free.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you do the same thing when you live in San Francisco. You buy a Muni Pass, and it's free. Granted, you're buying it, but it's not like I'm looking for change. I'm looking for, it's like you buy a pass, you carry it, you hold it up, you walk on whatever it is you want to go on. And that makes sense. You have to make these things easy as well as convenient and affordable.
And you know what?
Discussed.
Speaking of convenient, easy, and affordable, and this is one of the things for the viewers. I was ribbing Patrick before the show. I absolutely hate him and the Trimet system and everybody in Portland. It's a total jealousy, hatred. My wife and
all
I
those damn places to get craft beer too.
Yes. Yeah. I hate you all.
Shut up.
Crappy
right here. Yes. Can you guys see that?
Yes. So my wife and I love taking vacations in Portland. It is an absolutely beautiful city, and it's easy to get around in because of Trimet. We fly into the airport and the light rail is right there at the airport. And we go to the vending machine and we buy a 7-day Trimet pass that gets us unlimited trips for 7 days on any of the 3 modes of transportation. We never rent a car. We just go ride mass transportation the entire time. It is far too easy and convenient, and I hate you all.
And if you happen to have some craft beer, you don't have to worry about driving. Someone else
exactly right. Go to Base Camp Brewing. It's amazing, and get some beer and ride mass transit.
That's a good holiday message, Tony.
They have a chocolate s'more stout there.
Exactly. Oh my God! They melt them. They cook the marshmallow for you. Yeah.
and lots of cities do free transit on New Year's Eve, right? So if you are going out, you don't have to drive your own car. And they run the buses and trains late. So if you live in a place that does that, try that on New Year's Eve instead of taking your car out.
Yeah, since we won't have another show before the end of the year, everybody be safe out there on New Year's Eve. Drive smart. Yeah.
Well, our final news item is a short one.
I just want to wrap this up. There's
I'm sorry,
there's
of course.
2 more points on this, and I'll be quick with them. The one is that they're going to apply a carbon lens to all their future decisions. So they're going to be looking at how, just like the discussion we had about what's the most efficient way and what's the CO2 impact, they're actually going to make that part of their culture for making all their decisions, which I think is great. And then they're also going to put carbon emission testers on the buses. So as they drive around through the city, they're going to be able to collect data. And the best way to make good decisions is to first collect data. So I thought both of those were pretty cool.
If the buses are rolling coal, they're going to can them?
Probably repair them.
Okay. Yeah. But I mean, that is amazing. I mean, the idea, the concept, it says our buses travel more than 981 miles of the region streets. It's a great opportunity to monitor the air quality from neighborhood to neighborhood. That's amazing. I mean, who had the forethought to think the buses are rolling air quality testers? Yeah.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So go ahead, Russell.
Yeah, no, hey, you know what? I got all night. I got all night, man. I'm here. And no, thank you, Patrick. Those were good stuff to add.
So Patrick, the only thing they got to do is you said they're going to power the transit with wind power.
Yes. Yeah.
Can they figure out how to make rain power? Because there would be unlimited free energy.
Well, we already have a poop project to power Portland. And there are
Patrick's
also Patrick Poop powers Portland, and there are turbines that they have in some of the water pipes. So we're looking at that too. So there you go, rain powered.
There you
go. Well, good for Portland. It's nice to see people leading in this because it's not easy, it's not cheap, it's not free, it's not even always popular, but in the long term, it's one of those things that people look back on and go, wow, how come Portland figured this out and all these other cities didn't? I think history will be very kind to those people for those good decisions. Speaking of decisions, there's this company called PSA. Anybody know what PSA Group is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
please. Service announcement?
No, it's Nissan. It's one of the alliances. That's the A. Is it Peugeot? I don't know who it is.
Peugeot, Citroen, Opel,
Citroen. That's the one. Yes.
Citroen.
And some other names that most Americans haven't heard of is merging with FCA, Fiat Chrysler, and I'm not really sure what the upshot of this is, other than FCA is going to get bigger. There'll be I think, second biggest auto company on the planet now, or somewhere close to that. And I don't know if this means we'll get Peugeots here or Citroens here or who knows what. But nonetheless, it's big news, and it will be interesting to see how that changes the American car choice option.
They won't have to pay for emissions credits for Tesla anymore.
Because...
Well, I mean, they'll have to fill their contract, but I mean, because Peugeot and Nissan were already on the electric car kick.
But I don't.
Oh, right.
think Peugeot and Nissan are aligned.
But Peugeot still has their the Renault Twizy and all that. The PSA, don't they? Aren't they part of that?
I don't.
Renault's not part of it.
I don't think. No, Renault is not part of it.
Oh, okay.
Renault is the.
They're already partnered with Nissan.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And somewhat with Mazda.
I got the wrong group.
Well.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mazda's part of that group. Also.
Yeah. And Mazda's not really generating a lot of clean car credits anyway. So.
Yeah.
No.
It. Again, I don't know. Maybe it'll mean we'll see some of these cars here. Maybe FCA will kind of get their act together.
Dodge Durangos in Paris.
Yeah, exactly. That's my fear, is that it's just going to mean Dodge Ram 1500s storming the streets of London.
And isn't that what we've normally seen in the past? I mean, when we have these global alliances occur, we think that we are going to receive. We here in North America are going to get these really cool European international cars that are going to come in, but instead it's the exact opposite. The gas guzzlers, the Jeeps, the trucks, or whatever.
The 500 little hatchback out of the U.S. market because it was too small.
I heard
they stopped selling it. Like the not just the EV one, the gas one, everything. They just, So there's no hope for American consumers.
I drove a Citroen when I was in Ireland, and whenever you'd come to a stop, the engine would shut off. Mm-hmm. And why don't all cars in the U.S. do this instead of just hybrids?
Because if gas was $6 a gallon, they would.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. If the oil industry wasn't so heavily subsidized, and if gas actually cost in the United States what it costs in other countries, then people would actually be concerned about these things.
I mean, as soon as you hit the clutch, it started it up before you could even get it in gear. It was really great. Yeah. Steering wheel was on the wrong side, but
idiots don't even know how to build a car.
Right, they screwed up that part, but they got
to. Oh, well, thank you, Bizu. Just wanted to come on the show. That's all I got this week. We are up for time. Let's do some shout outs and go home and take the rest of the year off. Okay. Casey Green, Mr. YouTube channel. Yep. I'm going to start with you, sir.
YouTube.com/Casey Green. I've got a bunch of episodes I've got to get out for you. On deck, we've got the latest Tesla update, and we did a kind of a Make-A-Wish type situation for a young man who received a heart transplant that is not working, and he likes really cool cars, so we went out there and we had an experience for him. As well as I've got a backlog of over 20 supercharger reviews, and it's just a lot of great content. Stop by and see it. YouTube.com/Casey Green.
Definitely go by and visit Casey. He is the supercharger expert. And speaking of experts, how about Mr. Patrick Connor?
Hello. So it's getting cold out there, so I want to make sure to put out the little PSA here. Not that PSA, this PSA. About checking your tire pressure. And drive safe out there. Whatever you're driving, make sure you've got the tires at the right pressure. You'll increase your fuel economy, whatever that fuel may be. So I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. And happy holidays.
Thank you so much, Mr. Connor. Mr. Coughlin.
I've got one last thing I want to reach out and give kudos to Petro-Canada, part of Suncor Group, or Sunoco, who finished their coast-to-coast Canadian EV road. They completed it with 41 locations across the Trans-Canada Highway. They did it in 9 months.
Wow.
Unbelievable. They started last spring. They just completed it. They still have 11 to add. A total of 54 will be up and operational. Right now, 41 are up and operational. But that is further enabling people to drive electric coast to coast. And we appreciate their effort and hope that others will follow.
Okay, what did you say their name was?
Petro-Canada, which is part of the
Suncor like a gas
Group.
Station company, right?
It's a gas station company, correct.
So these are at their regular gas stations?
They put them at their regular gas stations in a certain area of the parking lot. and there's always 2 DC fast chargers along with at least one single L2 as well. So was a great feat.
Are they going to change their name?
Not in the foreseeable
Canada?
No, not in the foreseeable future. But I don't care what they call it. I think it's I think it's an amazing feat, and it shows some growth in the oil patch. That, you know what, there are some other options available, and people are making different choices. And you know what, you've got to fuel these cars with electricity. Why not have the gas stations fueling them as well?
Right.
They're a fueling station, not a gas station.
Yeah.
Right. You get premium or regular electrons?
Exactly.
You get fast or slow electrons.
Petro-Canada beats Tesla in finishing the cross-country EV charging. That's amazing.
It was shocking at the beginning of spring when they said they were going to do this, and the time frame, I thought there's not a chance they could ever do it. And here we are at the end of the year. It's been about 9.5 months, and they are there.
Yeah. That's cool, because there's only 2 seasons, construction and winter.
That's right. Exactly. Get it done when you can.
Especially up there.
Because you got people who are going to, they're traveling, so they don't know the area most of the time. Now you've got them on hold for 15 to 30 minutes.
Right. And if you're interested in looking at the map of where they all are, you can go to petrocanada.ca or just Google Petro-Canada EV chargers, and it'll bring you right to the page.
There's usually a Timmy's within walking distance of Petro-Canada.
And an A&W.
I like the A&W Impossible Burger.
A Timmy's and an A&W. Yep. Oh, God. Mr. Guzik, I'm sure you have something to plug.
All I want to say is everybody have a safe holiday season and a happy new year, and we'll see you next year.
Absolutely. Did I forget anybody? I'm trying to think. I feel like I've left somebody out. Who could that be?
So I want to say that if you want to read all the news that we're reading, be sure to check us out online. Make sure you go to facebook.com/whatdrivesus. Subscribe. Like us, follow us. You'll see all the articles that we talk about. And I believe, Patrick, are you still filling the queue for news articles for the Facebook page? Okay.
Yeah,
so Patrick does all the work.
Twitter feed. Yep.
And Twitter.
And still trolling the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't fall for it as much as you used to. Those were the dull days.
Yeah. You got to find new and exciting ways to troll Russell.
After a while, like some designer bike company that's making a $300,000 motorcycle that goes 20 miles. Yeah.
And if you do use Flipboard, like I do, Philip Barclay and I are primarily adding articles out on the Flipboard magazine. Search for What Drives Us, and you'll see the same articles. You'll see the articles that we're following. So there are 2 ways to keep up with us, and basically it's just aggregators. Yeah, I mean there's more, but these are the things that pique our interest to keep us interested. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Tony Schaefer.
You're
I want to say thank you to all of you out there. 2019 has been an incredible year for the show. We've been doing this. We will celebrate our 10th anniversary.
10.
A month from 2 days from now. A month and 2 days from now. January 20th is when the show started in 2010. And the growth this year has just been incredible. And that's thanks to all of you who have liked and subscribed. You went to youtube.com/whatdrivesus. You hit subscribe, you hit notify. You suggested us to your friends. You shared our links. You posted stuff on there. That is huge. And it means the world to me. And I'm going to guess it probably means a lot to the rest of these folks here. So thank you so much for that. We're up over 1,100 subscribers, which is just wonderful. It really is. So thank you for caring. Thanks for paying attention. We do the show because we love it and we feel passionate about this stuff. And it's just been incredible finding people that it resonates with and enjoy watching it too. So thank you so much for that. I also have to thank everybody on the show and all of our guests, all of our other panelists that aren't here right now. But thank you, Casey Green, Mark Coughlin, Tony Schaefer, Patrick Connor, Paul Guzik. Thanks to my erstwhile co-host, Danny Cooper, who is still not on the show, but someday is coming back. I've got a chair right here for him, just saved. If he ever comes back, he can.
Oh, the 10-year anniversary is the perfect time to have him come back.
Right. Yeah.
I'll ask him. That'll be interesting. Danny, can you make it? And I know Danny, he's going to go, yeah. I get it. But I mean, lots of other panelists that aren't here. Our friend John B. Who am I forgetting, Tony? Help me out.
Chelsea Sexton, Linda.
Chelsea, Linda, Jason. I mean, historically, go back, right? All those people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I remember the good old
Evan guy.
We used to do the show.
Evan.
We used to do the show, and it was just exciting when one of the two listeners would, give us feedback.
Someone cares enough to hate me in an email.
Yeah.
God. And yes, it's maybe not exactly true, but I do sometimes say things just to generate hate mail. So love you all. Seriously, all of you guys on the panel tonight and all this year, thank you. Thank you to all of our special guests who've come on and made the episodes great. Thank you to the handful of car companies that have been nice enough to reach out to us and provide us with review vehicles so that we can talk about their cool vehicles with you. And we're going to look to continue and expand that next year. I don't know what else to say. So I'm just going to say, once again, have a wonderful holiday, whatever it is you celebrate, please. We will not be here next week. We check back with us on the 1st of January. We may have a little surprise January 1st show for you. Maybe it'll be a really drunk show and we'll just insult people.
Yes, I'm on board.
We haven't really done that in a while. We kind of need like an angry drunken show. So
what drives us to drink? Yes.
That was a show, Patrick.
Yeah, those still exist. They're out there on the electrons.
It's still
never
on
die.
iTunes.
Yeah, maybe that's a good January 1st one.
We'll do an episode of what drives us to drink just for the heck of it. But once again, thanks to all of you. Thanks to everybody in the panel. Have a wonderful holiday, whatever it is you're celebrating. Please, as Patrick said, please be safe out there driving. This is a horrible time of year to be on the roads, competing with people for space and who knows who's not paying attention. We need every one of you listeners back here. So be safe, drive carefully, and tune in sometime next year and find out what drives us.
Michael Mannering.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Michael. Yeah. The first episode, I don't remember to say anything to him.
Yeah.
God, I suck sometimes.